This could make a small
Well, you know, when I first started learning more about wild plants, what plants you can eat or use for medicine out in nature, in the mountains, or even, in an empty lot in the city, there was something that was exciting about that. I mean, it was kind of a thrill to be able to find wild edible plants and greens and stuff, and it was just sort of a sense of empowerment. While I wouldn't promote any sort of panic or paranoia, I don't think we should be living our lives paranoid 24 hours a day. There is something to be said for being knowledgeable.
Interest in survival courses is growing across the globe. Political instability, climate change, and a global health crisis are fueling the multi-million-dollar disaster prep industry. A recent global survey found that 60% of young people are very worried or extremely worried about climate change. 75% of respondents also said that the future is frightening. Survivalism is the general term. There's bushcraft, wilderness preparedness, urban survival. What is bushcraft, and why are people turning to it now?
Bushcraft, theoretically, if you're lost in the woods, you have one or two good knives and you have the knowledge, you can make all the things that you need. Wilderness survival relates to your whole life. Self-reliance skills relates to everything else, and it makes your life better. We don't have the skills ingrained that people in the past had, like our grandparents and great-grandparents had, about how to always be ready, because there's always going to be emergency around the next corner.
There's really no substitution for taking students of all ages and even adults out into the field and showing them that this stuff is real and that it's all around us, and it's there waiting for you if only you take an interest.
The skills that I have been passed on from generation to generation in one way or another, and they're survival skills, not just for survival of people, but for survival of the culture. There's a freedom in knowing what plants are toxic, which ones are medicinal, which ones will help me build a shelter, which ones are edible. There's community in that.
Rising eco-anxiety is driving up demand for survivalist courses, with some schools reporting an up to 60% increase in year-over-year enrollment.
You're not going to find this in nature, but I'm going to show you how to make cordage out of yucca.
Survival thinking has been going mainstream. Costco is apparently one of the biggest sellers of food storage, outpacing the Mormon Church.
These courses are no longer the domain of hunters and campers. The movement is becoming bigger and more diverse, with young families and women contributing to the growth.
People want to feel empowered, and they want to feel like they have some control over their destiny and they can take care of themselves and their family and their neighbors and their community.
People should be aware that changes can happen quick. The knowledge, a practical knowledge of how to produce your own food and survival skills and how to produce some of your own power, that will never go out of style, because you can always use them even if there isn't an emergency. Like I don't live in fear about the next emergency. I just do what I do.
In a growing age of uncertainty, preparedness equals peace of mind.
Having these skills to me is a safety net to know that if things get really, really rough, I can still survive. I know that I can.